Hey there, I would like to begin this episode by thanking some folks like Brandon McBride Shields, Thomas Ashe, Zakaflaka80, Wolf of Fenris, and Sean Hood. All of these are people who have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and given us some money. That helps support this show and this network and us. Yeah, we're really grateful for it. You can be like them and get a whole bunch of extra stuff by going to patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. Thank you.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireball's Dispatch, our monthly Q&A topic record scratch. What? Huh?
Wait a minute. Yeah, we got a special plan for this one. We're going to do the Q&A stuff. We're going to read your responses to April's stuff. But instead of doing a topic, we got a lot of people writing in about Chuck E. Cheese. It's been one of our more popular topics. So we're going to take that time that would have been used for a topic and just kind of read your memories on various pizza entertainment restaurants.
Yeah. And this is to set the stage for the experimental episode next month, where no Q's, only A's.
It is up to you.
So here's a little preview. Yeah. I don't know. I suppose so. There we go.
That runs the gamut. Yeah. Take that and use it to your heart's content. I'll give my track so people can take it clean. I don't know.
Yup. And then you can mix that together and basically make your own all A's episode. Let's get started with Q's though, because this episode's normal. Manny asks, hey Team WAF, I recently listened to the Deathloop episode and thought it was super insightful. I was actually on the marketing team at Bethesda for this game, which made me particularly interested in your perspective on the invasion/multiplayer mechanic. This was something we thought about a ton while building marketing campaigns before launch. More specifically, how not to highlight comparisons to other games, Dark Souls being the obvious one. My question for you is, in your opinion, how, if at all, can studios and publishers best learn from previous games and use similar mechanics in new ways? Do you think a unique mechanic like Dark Souls Invasions belongs in other games or settings at all?
I mean, of course, Dark Souls doesn't lay claim to it. Obviously, the devil's in the details. You want to make sure you're implementing it in a good way and make sure that what you're buying is worth the cost. For what that brings in. But there is, I think, really no downside to judiciously appropriating good ideas from other studios.
Yeah. And with Deathloop in specific, I like that idea in that game. I just didn't like it while the game was happening.
Yes.
So in terms of marketing that, or in terms of how a publisher or developer would talk about that, I think saying we have Dark Souls Invasions does come off crummy, because it's hard to for us specifically with Dark Souls, when games borrow stuff from them, a lot of times it feels like they don't do so as thoughtfully as they need to. Like they borrow the Dark Souls bit like a Lego block, but it really needs to kind of be bespoke and added. So I don't, as far as the language goes, I don't know how that would be sold. Because it's a weird thing where it's obvious to the people making the game that it's Dark Souls, and it's obvious to us that it's Dark Souls. But if you just came out and been like, "Oh yeah, we did the Dark Souls thing," it would feel ridiculous.
It would feel unbecoming of a studio of like Arcane stature to come out and be just, I think, maybe that direct of it. Saying it is weird and bad in a way that doing it is not weird and bad.
it's also interesting with Invasions because in terms of things that are bespoke from Dark Souls that have been made their way into the wider like game design palette, Invasions hasn't been a big one.
No.
Like bonfire style checkpointing, like, and all the enemies respawn, but you can respawn at the same time. That's gotten very popular, and we find that in lots of games.
Yeah.
At this point, leaving a bloodstain, like that's now kind of part of the gaming vocabulary. Invasions aren't yet. And I think that maybe also this will get a little bit easier if that happens. If more games kind of decide to borrow that, I think maybe that aspect of the puzzle will get a lot easier.
Yeah. I don't envy you and your team the task of trying to figure out a way how to describe that. How to describe anything about this game, because it is so weird.
Yes. Yeah. It's an odd one.
Yeah. Let's see. Toby writes, and I edited this one a bit. I've got Elden Ring on the brain, but one area where I think it doesn't stack up to the earlier games is the boss arenas, possibly because of increased boss complexity. Most of the arenas are just empty rooms, maybe with some pillars in them, a la Ornstein and Smo. So, my questions: what are your favorite boss arenas in games? What makes a good boss arena? When is a more complex arena welcome? And when does a simpler one do the job?
There's also a little sub question here about what makes a good boss arena and what makes a good a complex arena and a more simpler arena.
Are you referring to Retro Game Challenge arena, or
no?
Is this...
just boss arena. I'm referring to Rob Schneider's copy character.
Hey, no, that's Romby. Shit. Yeah.
No, that was Romby. That's not Romby Schneider.
Rombarino?
Hey, Mickey Guppies. Damn it. Romby Schneider is very specific. That's a...
Hey, vaccines are dangerous. Hey.
Speed. I think like there's only a couple of them in Elden Ring. I think where the first part where I think the arenas are interesting. It doesn't bother me though. One of the things I think about when I think about good boss arenas, so like the classic one in Dark Souls for me is Capra Demon, and that arena is there to kind of like it's a weird thing. It changes the fight a lot. It's like the fight itself without dogs or stairs is really trivial. It's just basically a big dude.
Yeah.
So it adds this complexity to it in a way that feels a little inelegant, even if I ultimately do like it.
Yeah.
This is something I think that has been a thing for a while. Like there's some experiments, like you end up with like Dragon Rider and stuff like that. Executioner's Chariot. There's a couple of experimental ones, but in general, I think from like Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne onward, again with some exceptions, right? Like
Shadows of
boss
Yharnam.
Exist.
Yeah,
Shadows of Yharnam, Gascoigne has stuff, but it just gives you ways to break eyeline and take cover for a second and heal.
Yeah, and that's what it does. I find myself more concerned with the aesthetics of the boss arena than anything. And kind of liking that a little bit more. You're right. Like when I think of all of the ambitious and experimental boss arena designs that are primarily about limiting movement and augmenting challenge, all of it's in the first one, right?
Most of it, yeah. There's a couple of exceptions, but
but the really memorable ones, and like when I think about my favorites, it is more about the aesthetics or the atmosphere or something like that. So like staying in Souls, Old Monk, right? Just a big ass room, but it's unforgettable. Thinking about taking it out of Souls, but like fight areas like the Bizarro Sephiroth or whatever it is, the group fight in Final Fantasy VII. That's a good one. Like all that stuff that's at the core of the earth there. Luca Blight. I mean, you're just fighting him in a field, but everything about the presentation of that's another group battle kind of thing. That's what I think is most important about like the setting than a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I in terms of actual mechanical things, it's not they're not great boss fights or anything, but I like it when the setting is incorporated into the strategy. So like the patched Human Revolution bosses,
Yeah, I was
for
thinking of
example,
those.
like the first guy, the hillbilly with the gun arm. If them adding the vents and the storage containers, things like that stuff is scary nip. And aesthetic demerit, I'm gonna say we've done final
field.
battle in a field of white flowers.
Yeah,
It's done. It's a dead trope.
Yep.
Like, kill it. Stop doing it.
yeah.
We're done.
Related to that, since you brought up Deus Ex, Metal Gear Solid boss arenas that are not the field of white flowers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Vulcan Ravens warehouse, right?
Yeah, that's real good.
Things.
There's also those silly ones though, like with the hunger, I think.
The hunger.
The third one. Where it's just basically a shooting gallery where he jumps from like tree to tree. It's almost it's like a House of the Dead boss. It's real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are a little bit best in class as far as like mechanical gimmick goes to me.
Yeah. When they're not just a railing around a swimming pool.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like when they're good, they're super good.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What does Audie say?
Audie. Yeah, it's me. Audie says, in honor of roguelike decade on WAF, have either of you ever gotten really into a classic style roguelike, such as NetHack, Moira, TOME, Ancient Domains of Mystery, etc.? And would you ever consider covering one for the show? NetHack was the very first roguelike I really played, and while there are a lot of things that are friendlier and just more fun about the modern entries in the genre, I do think it has a level of variety and interactivity that is still kind of unique to that older style. I have played, I've fucked around with NetHack specifically, and I played a lot of a Moraph roguelike. I've talked about Moraph before, the shareware lord of old PC games, before I knew what a roguelike was.
No.
Me and my friends got into that. But typically the next level up is where I find the level of core of roguelike. That I like a Sheeran the Wanderer or a Mystery Dungeon game, which are closer, they're rogue games, like they're rogue likes, not rogue light lights. That's kind of, I need the kind of graphical presentation and such. The ASCII stuff exhausts me. And then when it has tiles, which is great, it still runs into a problem where there are just so many things to recognize.
Yeah.
Because the trick of those games, like the cool thing is that amount of depth, and the amount of like secrets and interactions and stuff. I really respect that. I just don't. I'm old and codified in some of my ways, and it feels like something I would need to get real into when I was younger and had a different attention span, maybe.
Yeah, I tried that hack like 20 years ago, and I bounced off of it super hard. And
I really like that next level of abstraction, and would love to do like a Sheeran the Wanderer game at some point.
Oh, they did that re-release one on Switch, and I have been champing at the bit to try that.
They're good. They're really fun. Like,
yeah. And the closest thing that I've gotten otherwise, and this is only related, I think, aesthetically, but like Dwarf Fortress, but that's more in build and manage kind of stuff.
Yeah. Also a game that'd be really hard to do.
Yes.
And is hard to get into because there's a million different little icons that mean a million different things.
Yeah. And that's why I kind of bounced off of it. All of my attempts have been thwarted.
Yeah. Even though it sounds like something you'd really be into.
I know, right? And for me, just take Dwarf Fortress, the basic concept, and just like with you going up to Sheeran and Mystery Dungeon, for me, RimWorld's Prison Architect, right?
Yeah, it's the next level out.
Yeah. Greg writes, I recently got around to playing Detroit Become Human, and I wish that I had played it years ago because it's great. One of my favorite things in the game is that there's an android named Chloe who is on the main menu when you launch the game. She reacts to real life events, such as if it's early morning and you played late last night, or if it's a weekend or a major holiday. Also, she'll try to talk you out of continuing the game once things get worse, and will say nice things such as, I'm here for you, and I really like what you did with your room. It's one of my favorite game gimmicks that I found in a game. What are some of yours?
Some of my favorite gimmicks.
Yeah.
That's broad. Yeah, yeah, hard to say. Stuff like that, like Trixie. I'm looking at real life, like, the weather outside is the weather in the game. The time outside is the time in the game.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I always like the idea of until something in game is reliant on it.
Yes.
I don't want to go outside and play a Game Boy buck tie.
No.
Like you can't see it very well, and then also there are bugs and like weather, and I don't know.
If I got bad news about indoors, if you don't like bugs.
Well, I mean, they're hidden though. Yeah. Like I don't see bugs. They're everywhere outside, flying insects. Video games are an indoor sport.
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that. It's kind of hard to, and then it's like, what's a gimmick, right? Like, are the sanity effects in Eternal Darkness a gimmick? That's like a core mechanic.
Yeah.
That's a core selling point. So it's kind of hard to define, I guess, is my response.
Yeah. I all of my examples are from like forever ago because it hit because I hit a good number of these, pretty early. So with what Greg is describing with Chloe in Detroit, like the character responding to your play habits, like I thought that was the coolest thing in the goddamn world back when I played Seaman on Dreamcast, right?
Yeah.
Like then that just kind of worked its way.
That's what Seaman is, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so hard to see if that's a gimmick because that's what Seaman does.
I was real into the chow raising in Sonic Adventure games. I know we joked about those on a recent Abject Suffering, but like the idea that you could load this little virtual pet into your VMU and I could like set it on my stand in band practice, in middle school and watch my little guy march along and, make little choices to help level him up. That was really cool to me. And that is absolutely a gimmick. So yeah, let's go with that. And I wish that we could have gotten the memory unit things on the PlayStation, so we could have done the Chocobo stuff in Final Fantasy 8 and 9. That stuff seemed cool to me.
Do you know what I would do if I had access to a time machine?
What would you do?
I would go back in time to your band practice, grab your chow off the stand and swallow it in one bite, and then disappear from your life for 20 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what a power move it would be to eat your virtual pet. Like, as a full adult walking into your school who you don't know.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'm vaping. Like, I look like a bounty hunter, and then I eat the chow.
Okay.
And then just back out of the room. And nobody ever hears from me again.
Well, yeah, because you not only ate a small electronic, you also ate a small CR 2032 battery.
I keep swallowing batteries. I would then travel. I would use that time machine, and then I would travel to the future where they can cure that.
Where they can cure having eaten a CR 2032 battery.
Yeah, I cut over to me like M-preg as shit, giving birth to a
giving birth to a car battery.
Like
CR 2032 gestates.
It'd be a really messed. This is a really dark timeline. This is a fucked up period.
This is like some Cronenberg Tetsuo the Iron Man shit we're describing.
All covered in hair and stuff. With some teeth growing out of it.
Instead of crying, it just like whistles because steam is blasting out of it.
Yeah, yeah. But it does do it in response to seeing me, so it's not just air escaping. Like, well, I take it back. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, thanks.
Well, not for you. For me, I don't want to give. I need to give birth on anything.
I can still thank you.
Yeah, no, I know. I appreciate it. It would hurt a lot, and I'd probably be stuck in the future at that point because they'd want to study, old man.
True.
Fenraliania ask if you can convert one finite game into an ideal, feasible forever game. For example, a narrative game getting well-realized procedural stories that interlink and or systematized character relationships. What game would you pick?
You'd have to do this by holding a gun to my head because I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not something I want. And I was gonna my instinct is to say a game I really like Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium put out DLC I haven't played yet. Like that kind of happened, and I was like, I've moved on.
Yeah.
I'm just not a forever gamer. Like even games I play a lot of, like even your Isaacs or what have you. Like I haven't played Isaac in a while. Like we do that show, and I had to pop back in to check out new content for the show. But even my forever game has a limit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know that I have an answer for this that I kind of genuinely feel. Like I would say like, oh, like if we had just New Vegas, but there's kind of one of those that we have that I haven't touched,
It's and a lot of it is probably job related.
Yeah.
Like, I did not play the Outer Worlds because I was like, someday we'll do that for the show.
Yeah.
I guess I would do like a Dishonored level once a month.
Yeah.
Like that would be fine.
Hitman.
But even like the Hitman games, which were kind of meant to be that kind of thing, I came into later.
Yeah.
Like a Hitman level once a month would also be cool.
Yes.
Something like that, like big dense level coming out on our drip feed is what I want.
Yeah. That would be my version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Luke says, which tabletop RPG religion would you follow if you had no choice but to pick one? You can assume that the chosen religion is also true in this scenario. Real world religions featured in video games do not count.
Undoubtedly some like Forgotten Realms, God of Secrets and Magic.
Yeah.
Like one of those things, but I don't remember the names because
it was like Illuvia or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could I do like the video game equivalent of like Universalist Unitarian? Like, could I just like Followers of the Apocalypse up in here?
Yeah. That's a good,
yeah.
That's a pretty good,
might be
answer.
Mine. Chaos mode.
Even though, man,
go ahead.
the Hubologists, like they actually do get superpowers.
They do.
And stuff. They're right about a lot of things. Like you can go in there and get like defragmented from your thetons and get increases to your stats.
How much of that's mind over matter though?
I don't know. But does it matter? And does that matter?
Mm-hmm.
If it works, it works. Like they've proven to be the correct religion, weirdly enough.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
That's just all their atrocities and such.
Yeah. They're not great people. What were we gonna say before I cut you off?
Oh, I was gonna say Chaos mode, the Silent Hill one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Vincent seems okay up until the very end.
Yeah, they're probably like, you just do fish fries and stuff like any Shriners Club thing, and during that part it's fine.
So it's like Creed says in The Office. I've founded some cults, I've been in some cults. You get richer as the founder, but you have more sex as the member, so it kind of balances out.
Yeah, you could, and you could work your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do in a cult.
Put in your
famously
time.
Upwardly mobile and fair meritocracies cults.
Yeah.
Dustin says, NPCs in RPGs vary wildly in quality from classic JRPG characters who are just signposts to FromSoft NPCs who are few in number but meaningful to the plot. But there's another weird category. Ocarina and Shenmue gave these NPCs their own schedules and routines in order to make these locations more immersive. Skyrim has these sorts of towns everywhere on the map with only a select number of NPCs that can feel distinct. Do you think these sorts of locations add to the immersion of the world, or is it just unnecessary set dressing that can be cut?
Make every town a menu.
Wait,
let me just... That's a gavel. So it is decreed.
Yeah, so it's done. Menu towns. In a Skyrim or something is when I like the every character has a schedule when it's not a chore for me to find them.
Yes.
And that is the charitable way of saying I like it when every town member has a schedule when it influences when I can break into their house.
Yes.
If it's something where I just need to talk to them in a certain time and I need to remember that, like, Johnny Chicken Farmer spends sunset down by the beach, I don't like that. And I understand people dig it and they get into that. I just don't take any joy in that kind of like figuring out a logic grid.
Yeah.
Of figuring out a schedule. Like I'm much more of a like skulk outside someone's house until their light goes off and then sneak around, take their stuff. And I don't know if that makes it more immersive. That just is the big thing I like. One of the big things I like about those games.
Yeah.
personally.
That seems to be more about those spaces than those people is the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't care who owns this house. Like, there are cool details about that, but even that is like down to, spaces. One of the best moments in Oblivion, when I was playing that, was when I was going around like one of the richer districts in town, and I found a hatch into their basement, and it was full of Dark Brotherhood stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, that's the good shit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I know the name of the person who lived there? No, don't care either.
And you don't know their schedule or anything either. Like, the important part of that schedule bit was that they weren't around for you to break, so you could break into their house, or they were sleeping.
Yeah.
Like when it drives, specifically if it drives discovery or drives a plot thing, that's cool. If it's just something I have to keep track of to go talk to somebody, I don't like the dollhouse aspect of this.
Right.
Which is like what feels like I hate the NPCs in Shenmue.
Yeah.
Like I hate a lot about Shenmue, but I really hate the, like, just going and, Granny, she works down at the fish market in the morning, and if I need to talk to her to just do this arbitrary next piece of this information chain that I'm doing to advance this adventure game, I just need to know where she's at.
Yes.
Like that sucks. That depresses the hell out of me. I only really like this in terms of mechanical and discovery stuff personally.
Yeah, same. I just, we've talked a lot about immersion recently. Just not a thing that I value, at least in regards, certain things that might get in the way. Don't necessarily. I don't know. I think about something that is that is a little bit like this, which is pathologic. But like, what changes is, like they're in different places based on the day and based on like where the story's at. Time.
A world state.
Yeah, time marches on, and that world state is there. But like, I don't know. Even that is like, you have your main shakers, and then you have the background characters, right? You have the extras. I don't necessarily care about the extras, at least insofar as like, I know in the morning I can find the kids to give them sharp things for pills, and I know in the evening I can find the carousers to give them water for sharp things, right?
Yeah, and thus completing the cycle.
Yeah.
It's literally just a thing where, to your menu point, right? Like, if a town is effectively a menu, I want it to be a menu.
Yeah.
And that was the case with a lot of old JRPGs that I played. Not all of them, but a lot of times it was just a series of shops and then people wandering around. And then also every once in a while you could find a potion in a garbage can.
Yeah.
But the actual exploring the towns did not tell you very much. If you go to like Mysidia, which should have an incredible identity of its own, all of its identity comes from the music.
And the two
every
NPCs.
Once in a while you run into an NPC who will cast a spell on you, which is pretty, I guess I used a bad example because that's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty good
one.
But
that is the town, that and the dwarf town are the ones that have personality. You go to the elf town, there are elves there.
Yep.
And there's some extra water feature, but exploring that and walking around that doesn't do a whole lot. Most of what you're getting there is the music in terms of giving it an identity. That goes away if there are like back entrances to shops you can go into.
Yeah.
To steal, or you can find people's secret basement dungeons by going through their fireplace and shit like that. Like, make JRPG NPCs, or make RPG or NPCs in general, not even genre dependent. Make NPCs and the spaces they live in matter, and then it justifies itself.
Yes.
Otherwise, get that shit out of here.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking at our time. Yeah, we can do, let's do one more game question, I think. And then move on.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Chris says, with every new gaming generation, graphics get better and better, but in recent years, the leap has been smaller. Do you think technology will eventually plateau if it hasn't already? Also, cheeky follow-up question. How do you think gaming can improve in other ways outside of graphically? Can the more powerful technology be used to make games more immersive or mechanically impressive? And if so, how? That last one's not for me. That's for smarter people who make games to decide.
Yeah, the answer is like probably yes. Of course.
Yeah.
There are things we haven't thought of,
Yeah.
you know, and there are things that even recently are technological things like the RE4 VR version.
Yes.
Like reloading in that is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new mechanic.
Yeah.
You know, it changes the feel of that game entirely.
Yeah.
Having to manually reload.
And there are, I mean, just things that we have played recently where there are limitations built in that they had to abandon plans. I'm thinking specifically of Singularity, right? Where we can't have the two time periods in memory at the same time. Well, now with solid state drives and stuff, we can. You know, that is that is a thing that we can do. Now with persistent online connections, we can have invasions in Deathloop, right?
Yeah. So there's 100% certainly there will be. And then in terms of a plateau, I think it's going to be like a Zeno's paradox kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like everyone will determine when their plateau is. It won't literally plateau.
Yeah.
You know, like we will get closer to verisimilitude. We will be able to do new artistic things, but we are getting, this is not a original observation. I'm not saying that to slam Chris. It's just something we've said before and other people have said as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the difference between PS1 and PS2 is bigger than the difference between PS4 and PS5.
Yes.
Like just objectively, hands down. And that difference is probably going to be bigger than the difference between PS5 and PS6.
Yeah.
You know, we are going to get increasingly small increments, but I don't know if we'll ever actually plateau. We just get to a point where people, like you as an individual, get to the point where you stop caring.
Yes. That I think is the thing that will happen faster. And also, you're going to find places where just like, yeah, I kind of don't necessarily, okay, this difference feels, incredibly small to me, but for somebody else who's maybe a little bit fresher on their ride of watching this stuff, will think that is, the biggest deal, like, oh, the facial animation in Horizon Forbidden West, miles, leaps and bounds beyond Horizon Zero Dawn. Somebody possibly maybe has said that. And like, I don't know, they both look like faces to me.
Yeah. It's highly subjective. Like it is objective that the faces between Horizon Zero Dawn and the faces of Silent Hill 2 are worlds apart. It is subjective that the differences between Forbidden West and Zero Dawn are different enough to be like, to make a difference.
Yeah.
There's a degree of granularity that is up to the individual, which is, poses a real fuck off problem for marketers and good. At a certain point, your audience is going to stop caring about the only thing you have to sell. Go fuck yourselves. People are marketing graphics and stuff on new consoles. Like I don't want to try to get excited about the PlayStation 5.5.
Yeah.
You can't make me.
I was going to say, Gary, we literally opened with a response from somebody who worked in game marketing. Manny works in other stuff as well. Okay.
I kind of know Manny from Twitter. That was certainly not about Manny. I mean, people trying to sell me new and fancier consoles.
By how many rubber ducks it can render in a tub. Yeah.
Yeah. That it's just never, at some point I'm going to decide I don't want to play this game. And then they have no power over me. It's awesome.
Oh, my buttons are on the inside. You don't get access to them. Yeah.
Yeah. You laugh at me because I'm different. I, however, laugh at you because you're the same.
I saw that t-shirt.
Yeah. Studying katanas.
Kurt Cobain.
Ragavan. Kurt Cobain. RGB. I always say RGB. Ruth Gator Binsberg, which is not correct.
You're thinking of red, green, blue?
Yeah, I'm thinking of, it was a cable I once knew. I was thinking of some AV equipment I knew, not the Supreme Court justice who passed away.
It was a wise cable monster who once said,
who dissented a lot. Eloquent dissensions that didn't change what happened. Regavan says, what does a day in your life look like when you have video games to play for the show? Do you wake up and go straight to gaming? Is it a marathon binge? Do you have to force yourself with discipline? Give us details of this dream job, and thank you for the show. What do you think, Cole? You're more root-native than I am.
Yeah. I pretty much just play games for the show when I feel like it. Honestly, usually it's after I take care of stuff. On days when I record, Just a handful of days a week. I usually don't do any assignment play on those. Just because those are, so the morning and early afternoon are for prep. Afternoon for me is recording and then, getting stuff afterwards. But like, I don't know, if I'm waking up and getting right to gaming, usually that is something I'm doing. Like it's a game I will play for fun. Wake
and Quake.
Yeah. Wake and Quake, yeah.
It took me too long to come up with it, but frantically searching for video games that rhyme with bake.
It was good. I liked it. I appreciated it.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no like strict thing. It's just like I budget out like, okay, I need to get up through like this point by roughly this time. Basically the exact same thing I used to do in school when there was like assigned reading or homework or stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep. For me, on recording days, get up, eat breakfast, prep, record. After that, most of my structure, I'm basically the same where I have a whiteboard I keep up, not a big board. And I have a list of all the games that I have not completed that are in the order that I need to complete them. Mm-hmm. So I can look at them and be like, oh, this is what I should do.
Yep.
And most of the structure I have comes from other like events. Like I will do band practice, or I'll do game night, or I'll hang out with my girlfriend on the weekend. Other nights I typically will work.
Yeah.
So if I'm not doing one of those things, I'm almost always plugging away at something. Because I like being ahead. And then what happens is I do sprints and then catch ups, and it's not super great. I get ahead on work, and then I play something for fun.
Yeah.
Until I get behind and then have to scramble.
Yeah.
So it is a continuous blue shell kind of existence.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. But the blue shell is something you throw at yourself from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a time travel blue shell situation. Just unpreg in the future, giving birth to a hairy blue shell with teeth. Hairy battery with blue shell qualities.
Oh man. Kenneth writes, you fellas have successfully turned your hobby into your career. Has this had an overall positive or negative impact on your attitude toward your hobby? I hope it's been overwhelmingly positive for your attitude towards your careers. Has there been any unexpected side effects of merging your hobby and career? Is there anything you wish that you knew about the hobby and career dynamic before you merged them?
The last question for me first, because it's the easiest. Not really.
Yeah.
Like I know that's an unsatisfying answer, but nothing about the hobby or about games that I wish I knew. There are obviously just dozens and dozens of things. Like every decision that we've made as we've moved along, I of course was like, oh, why didn't I think of that earlier?
Yeah.
Who knows though? If like any kind of causality thing, who knows if that would have worked?
Right.
Maybe it wouldn't have worked then. Maybe everything came at the time it needed to, and is actually organic and fine.
Yeah.
Impossible to know, unhealthy to think about.
Yeah. No, and I don't do an awful lot of second guessing or like, oh, here's stuff that I wish that I knew. Obviously, there are things that just details about the job and how to interact with people and stuff like that. But like, no, I'm really happy with where we're at. Like I am super grateful. So I'm not looking. I don't have regrets about any of it really. And as far as like games and stuff, you think, oh, you're doing this stuff for the show and you're not getting to play stuff for fun, et cetera, or whatever. I have like a big list of all the games I've played since like the year 2000s, and there's data, like how many did I beat in a given year? And that went from like playing and beating maybe, 6 to 10, something like that, to, I beat 50 plus games every year now, more than one a week. A lot of them are for shows, or for streaming or whatever, but like, I don't know. I get to play a lot of games in this, and that I enjoy. I don't enjoy all of them. Anybody who listens to the show or watches the streams knows that, but like, it's still cool to get to engage in it, and I don't feel like jaded or burned out.
It would come through, and we'd have to stop doing it.
Yes,
like you couldn't do this game if you didn't like playing video, or do this job if you didn't like playing video games.
I know, right?
And it's part of what makes, cause we both, love the hobby, and it's part of what makes when people are like, oh, you guys are just assholes looking for negative things to say about stuff really frustrating, because, nobody, like, at no point do I want to have a bad time. This is how I'm spending a lot of my time. Like, even if it's a relatively short game for the show, it's 10, 20 hours. Who wants to have 10, 20 hours of a bad time?
Yeah. I don't go looking for that. Like, that's not a posture that I want to take.
Yeah. Like, it's, if we're not having fun, we come by it honest. It's not because we're jaded and we don't like gaming. I would much rather be playing something that I like and that, is good. Like, I don't think that's my job as a critic. I don't think that's what the show should be, but it is, we both still really like doing this and are looking for it to work.
Yeah.
And be fun. Ideally, if we never played another game that, like, I hated, I don't think that would be good for the texture of the show.
Right.
But I wouldn't, I'm not going to regret that time playing those games.
No. Yeah. Don't really have complaints or regrets, not in a big, meaningful way, which is nice.
Yeah. Let's move on to some media questions.
Let's do. Let's see. I think this is you.
Lewis says, what song just fucking melts you? Gary, you alluded to Skeeter Davis's End of the World before. Donnie and Joe Emerson's Baby, which I first saw in the comedy with Tim Heidecker, immediately comes to mind for me. What else? Current
good.
The Labrie Seafreeze, Bless the Telephone, which is like, I just heard that for the first time this year and is one of my all-time favorite love songs. I find that song really heartbreaking and sweet. And it's my current answer for that.
Yeah. Like, a lot of this stuff is, stuff that takes me a little bit further back. So, like, Desperado by the Eagles, or Every Rose Has Its Thorns.
Sure, Despacitos.
Yeah. No, my actual answer, just stuff that has just kind of always been affecting or meaningful since college. So, like, there's a track back of a river called Yellow that just fucking uproots me. There just a number of tracks off of Shearwater's Winged Life as well. The World in 1984, Makeover, The Convert, things like that. Just hugely resonant songs, very well performed, that are associated with a particularly emotional time in my life. So yeah.
It's worth noting the End of the World is also associated with a meaningful time in my life. Yeah. That meaningful time being the first time I saw the trailer for Marvel's Eternals. I don't know if Lewis or you have heard it, but man, there's a Neko Case song called something like Honolulu 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or something. That's about her being on vacation and watching a mother scream at her kid.
Oh God.
And like just be real mean to her kid. And it's like the saddest fucking song. Like, it's absolutely like heartrending song. Like, she's so good.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, admittedly, this is more of a Gary question, but as a cosmic horror fan, I haven't actually read anything that features those good bad boys, Hester and Nyarlathotep, and want to deepen my appreciation of them. What books, comics, movies, etc. should I consume to really get a definitive example of them? So I have not read tons of fiction outside of the original sources of these, prose fiction, because it is really hard to know with Lovecraftian stuff what is worthwhile.
Yes.
And then the embarrassing thing that I'll refer to is I just don't read as much prose as I used to.
Yeah.
I read nonfiction and then I'll read comics and shit. It's not, I'm like not proud of it, but it's just true. The things I can throw at you though, so the Alan Moore Lovecrafty verse stuff is great for these characters. It's a really great take on Nyarlathotep. I also want to give a shout out to the not perfect, but I still think has a lot of merit comic Fall of Cthulhu.
Okay.
Which was a Boom Studios thing that has some dodgy art and some juvenile writing at points, but is full of really good ideas. And it has really good versions of these guys.
Yeah.
And
no, I just that you have better answers than I do. Like for Haster stuff, obviously go back to the source. Go to Robert W. Chambers, the first four stories in the King in Yellow. Great way to do. I've done Halloween readings of 2 of those stories so far. If you're on Patreon, you can go and check those out. I did the Repair Reputations and the Mask.
weirdly not Haster. Like there's no Haster.
Right.
Like it's such a Gestalt thing. Like those are great stories.
Yeah.
Like, they're wonderful, but they're not about the thing at all.
They
like it.
They very far predate like when Haster was made into another thing. It's more about Carcosa and the play itself. Yeah.
Yeah. It just, I wasn't saying that as a criticism of you. I was just saying
it's just,
it makes it tricky to know where to go to get this stuff, because our idea of like a Haster as a fan of that stuff is this weird Gestalt that instead of having a definitive text is weirdly largely born of the tabletop game.
Yes. Yeah.
And things influenced by it. So like, I'd also say like, go back to the source books and, read some Call of Cthulhu modules.
Yeah.
About them
Tatters of the King, Ripples from Carcosa, the Delta Green book, The Labyrinth, that we refer to, which is about like modern day versions of those. I don't think I don't remember Nyarlathotep factoring into those, but you do get the Go with a Million Young and Haster stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Mask of Nyarlathotep is a good campaign for like old 20s Cthulhu stuff.
Yeah.
Oh. What does Kieran say?
Curran says, which classic Simpsons episodes are your favorites? I always appreciate the amount of references you two throw around. It hits me firmly in the funny bone. Yeah, this is hard.
Yeah, it's at some point I like had like a list. But my favorite changes all the time as well.
Always. Yeah.
For this. So like Summer of 4'2", you only move twice. Marge Be Not Proud. Bart Sells His Soul.
Bart Sells His Soul is so good.
That's a great episode. If the Ayatollah can't have it, no one can.
Ayatollah Khomeini is consolidating his power. I don't care who's consolidating their power.
I would love to have an alternate universe where the Ayatollah does get Bart's soul. It's a creepypasta I'd read.
What would he do with it?
Yeah, I don't know. God, who knows that guy? It's unpredictable. That's what makes him an Ayatollah.
Yep, that alone is what makes him an Ayatollah. Oh gosh,
something Ayatollah, and in the end is right.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Any of the ones with some heart. That's why I like. That's why I really enjoy Bart Sells His Soul. Oh gosh, Homer the Heretic is amazing to me. I like that quite a bit.
That's a great episode.
Season 5 has a ton of bangers. Cape Fear is one of those. Bart's Inner Child.
Bart's Inner Child is very good.
I'm a human going. Springfield with a $. Oh, Mountain of Madness. Mountain of Madness.
Oh,
just
God.
banger from front to back. Yeah, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Yeah, something's wrong with its brakes. Those are just wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In that era, it's harder to find stuff that like is a dud. Every once in a while you watch something and you're like, oh, this is like the Homer boxing one I never liked. Lisa the Skeptic, or Lisa the Skeptic.
Yeah, Lisa the Skeptic is the negative side of the Simpson religion stuff. Don't care for that one. Really
episode.
Yeah. The oh gosh, the musical stuff can be a coin flip. Like sometimes it's some of the series highs, such as A Streetcar Named Marge, that like everything like the music in that is fucking great. And like funny, it has jokes. And also it's all very short.
That's the difference with the musical, because watching Modern Simpsons, they're constantly singing. It's like an Animaniacs episode or some shit, and the songs don't have jokes in them.
Yeah.
So. Maya asks, with the final season airing currently, can I get y'all's tight 5 on Better Call Saul? If you haven't seen it, can you at least wax upon Bob Odenkirk's talent and how scary it was when we almost lost him last year?
I love Better Call Saul when we almost lost him, when he was collapsed on the set. Like it was basically as close to when Marge thought Lenny was in the hospital. Like I started,
Yeah.
not Lenny,
Not Bob.
I started making like the Anita Point thing, get well soon, Bob. Better Call Saul's great. It's amazing. Has one of
I
the
just
best.
started season 5 yesterday.
Season 5,
Or the first one that came to Netflix, or it just came to Netflix.
It just came to
Season 5.
Netflix. Oh, you're in for some treats. Yeah.
I'm excited at Lalo, man.
Lalo's
That actor's
great.
incredible.
Yeah.
What a font of charisma. He ended up being in Hawkeye. Was the second time I saw him, and he's real good in that as well.
Yeah.
But just like $1 million smile on that guy.
Oh man. Very
Handsome
good
for a man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how it keeps getting better. But yeah, Better Call Saul. It's like the trial, the arbitration trial from season 4, I believe.
Yes.
Huge. One of the best episodes of television.
Yeah. Chicanery.
Mm-hmm.
The one with the
Yeah.
That's incredible. I don't like getting into, so I rewatched Breaking Bad before I got into watching Better Call Saul. I don't like the fighting them against each other thing, and I haven't been converted over to the it's way better than Breaking Bad thing, which is a popular opinion. Like, I think they have different charms.
Yep, they're different shows. They can coexist.
Yeah, very different shows. The first season of Better Call Saul, I struggled with because the pace is so hang out and loosey goosey.
Yeah.
In the first season, like it's real chill. It took me a long time to adjust to like, nothing's going to necessarily happen for a while.
Right.
We're establishing a baseline for longer than I thought.
Yes.
And then I think in season 2 and 3, and obviously 4, like it just picks up into full speed. Awesome.
It takes a while for the characters to kind of get their charm. I think Kim was a little bit of a rough putt for a minute before I figured out.
But she became great.
Oh, Kim's amazing. Yeah. They just had to give her stuff to do aside from, stand in the garage and smoke and be a sounding board for Jimmy. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it took a little bit of time to get there. So
yeah, but it's worth the investment. You start getting into stuff, because that's also like, yes, it's Jimmy's story, but it's also Mike's and the cartel as well.
Yeah.
So you get Nacho. Nacho stuff is great.
Yeah. And you get Mark Proch. Just an absolute scene stealer, hilarious storyline. All of it from front to back is funny, funny as hell the entire time.
My baseball cards.
It's like this guy's a cake sitter. It's what it sounds like. Very good.
Oh man. Let's see. I think this is you. Oh wait, no. This is me. Cassandra says, media question. Seeing as Spectre Vision dropped Richard Stanley last year due to abuse allegations, who do you think would be a good director or writer to fill out future Lovecraft adaptations? Personally, on the strength of The Lighthouse, I'd love to see Robert Eggers tackle The Shadow over Innsmouth, and for Benson and Moorhead to tackle The Dunwich Horror.
Those are both good.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Robert Eggers with Mountains of Madness.
Yeah.
Because of the in situ kind of way he's able to do, like have it be real to a 20s expedition with all of that kind of detail.
Yes.
And that hard Scrabble, penguin eating life. But also would be a great Innsmouth.
Agreed.
The dialects and the like.
Yeah. No, I don't know that I have an answer better than Cassie's. No.
I would like to see the Safdie brothers do a interpretation of one of the stories where like it's just a ratchet, of things getting worse the entire time. Like like a Safdie brothers, like God, what am I thinking of? Dexter Ward or something with like just it, that weird way that those movies feel like having a heart attack for 2 hours, like just tense. Like you do not know what's happening as things keep, or like Call of Cthulhu almost as well.
Yeah.
A story that just keeps getting like bigger and bigger, just pan out to the next, story within a story, where things are continuously turning to shit.
What have the Safdie brothers done that I'm
Uncut Gems and Good Time?
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Uncut Gems, you must watch Uncut Gems.
I have not seen Uncut Gems.
It's like a 2-hour heart attack.
It's cool.
Very good. Like, it's great. It's real tense. So
Yeah.
let's do a couple of show questions and then hit the lightning round and then read some responses.
Let's do.
Just a couple of these. Joe says, I've been thinking about the asymmetrical relationship between content creators and their listeners. Have either of you ever had any poor or interesting experiences when meeting or interacting with listeners, stemming from potential overfamiliarity they may feel from listening to your thoughts or opinions in your lives? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are like big fun stories, you know, but that's the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the most part, I've been very lucky. Like, few people have been weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every once in a while, some people have been real weirdos, but generally, like, people have been cool.
Yeah. No, meeting in person has pretty much always been fine. You know, find it good. Yeah. It is the Twitter over familiarity and kind of like just for lack of a better word, reply guy kind of stuff where it's like, it's a response to every tweet, huh? Okay.
Yeah. And I just got to the point with that too, where I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I just got to where I just don't want to interact.
Yeah.
You know, specifically, like, one of my goals for this year is to no longer give air to the, like, no, it isn't response to things.
Yeah.
Like it is for me to say something, it is fine to, disagree, but it's not advancing the conversation just to be like, no, that's for you to tweet on your timeline.
Yeah.
You say your opinion about the thing and then they both exist and there we go. You know, if you want to start a conversation, that's one thing, but, just know it isn't.
Yeah.
Not into.
Yeah.
And this obviously like varies by mood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too, right? Like it's a weird, like I've said this before, it's a dream job. The problems are better than the problems in other jobs, but they're unique as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the things that are difficulties in this, I have had no experience with, and there's no other job, and you can't vent to people because they don't get it. Because it's a weird problem.
Good luck finding a therapist in rural Ohio who understands that that this is not just the kind of thing where like, hey, just close the computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little goofy that way, but for the most part, very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have some responsibility for some of that overfamiliarity too, because like it's always been part of our approach to this is that we're not, putting on big, showy entertainment personas.
Yeah.
Like there's a degree of character work that happens and exaggeration of ourselves for jokes, but it's very rare that, like I outright lie on the show if I'm saying something that is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, if I'm saying something that's true, I'm not lying, but if I'm saying something about myself, I'm generally telling the truth. But just because I'm doing that does not mean that people listening like know me to the degree that like they should be giving me medical advice.
Yeah.
Or like the person who, when my cat died, was like, I don't understand why you're upset. You're just going to get another one. And I'm like, like even if it's not even just about you not knowing me, like that just, what an asshole, like what about your previous experience in life made you think that was a good thing to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that is like, that's a stranger who's just able to like, say something really mean to me out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And having those channels open, can be tough.
Yeah. But occupational hazard.
Yep. Worth it.
Yep. Let's see. Let's do this one real quick. Or should we?
We have some new listeners.
Yeah,
probably.
We should. Yeah. Al says, I'm somewhat new around here. Sorry if this has been covered before. How did Duckfeed start? Did you start making podcasts first and then realized you could turn it into a business? Or did you start making podcasts with the intent of making a business in the first place? How long did you have to work on this before you started making enough money to pay yourselves and do this full time? How many employees do you have? Do you see yourselves doing this for the foreseeable future? Or are there other endeavors you would still like to do someday?
Yeah, I mean, this is an alternate, like a elaboration on the question.
Yes.
Anyway, that we usually get. The short answer of how we started, we met on the Something Awful forums, both individually podcasting and a podcast critique.
Yep.
thread, and then decided to get together to make a show because I listened to Cole's version of what is now the level, and was talking about playing a Breath of Fire game and nobody playing it, and me being like, I could play a Breath of Fire game, and then now I don't want to play a Breath of Fire game, but at the time I did. 10 years ago I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and then it just kind of continued from there. Like Watch Out for Fireballs was more popular than either of our other shows that we've been doing. Like when we looked at the download numbers, like it was not huge or anything. We weren't doing serial numbers, but it was big for us.
Yeah. It was big, just like, oh yeah, this is fun to do and people seem to like it. So let's put more time into it. Let's, expand it. Never had a reckon that I would be able to do this as a full-time job when I started, even podcasting, or even when we kind of got together. I had remained podcasting because I went to school for media, for like radio, television stuff. And I was looking for jobs in the field, looking for production jobs, things like that. And I had continued podcasting in order to kind of keep my chops up and because it was fun to do. And just as this, basically started off and started my last job, at the same time, and then WAF and the network kind of grew alongside of it. Took many, many years before it was like, I can support myself entirely on this. Like, it actually wasn't until well after I had lost my previous job that it was comfortable. So let's say 8 years, something like that.
Yeah. It took a while. I started doing it part-time a little bit sooner than that. Took a part-time job on top of it because I didn't like my other job. But yeah, it was not part of the plan.
No.
We have no employees. We hire people to do art and music and the like, and stuff. That will change.
Yes.
At some point. We're in processes of maybe making some changes. Nothing we want to announce, but we're going to figure that out. It doesn't make sense for us to do it all.
Right.
At this point, and I always have a mild and knee-jerk and unfair disdain for podcasts that have producers. Right. But that's because they start out with a producer.
Right.
They're just like, oh, I can't do a podcast until I have a producer. And then get one of their friends to do all their editing and stuff. Yeah. And it just doesn't. But if we're already at the point where somebody could be paid for the work, I just don't want to ask anybody to do anything for free.
No,
if we're getting paid, that's shitty. Yeah. So now that we could actually support somebody, I feel a lot better about that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Got no plans to do anything different. I'm in this for as long as it makes sense. There's stuff that I would like to do otherwise. But those are projects, not career kind of things. I kind of would like to be in the space for as long as the wheels will stay on the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucked out. Don't want to throw that out. I could see eventually, that changing, but I don't right now. No,
not right now.
Yeah. And yeah, hopefully it continues. And thanks to support from people like Al.
Absolutely.
Let's lightning round it up.
Let's do.
Tom says, what's the best diegetic use of music in world or a song in a video game? Boy, tough. Best is tough. It's the only good thing about BioShock Infinite. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, just because of recency bias, I'm going to say that I got a real good thrill out of the siren monster things in Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I heard that and then went to go investigate the source, thinking I was going to find an NPC or a merchant or something like in Demon Souls, and finding a monster was real good.
Yeah, no, I made a fun Simpsons meme about that. It was too good not to. But yeah, I really enjoyed. It's it's a mini boss. Shit, I fell for the trick.
Yep, that was great. Yeah, it felt real good.
Similar version, same series ish. The entire Shrine of Amana, with the Milfinito and ultimately the Demon of Song. All of that stuff was real good. Yeah. And like a lot of this is going to be examples that we've already given. The opera in Final Fantasy VI, the the radio in Silent Hill, augmenting the noise soundtrack with its static, things like that.
Yeah, lots of examples. Lots of good examples. Spec Ops.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
good song. Alpha Protocol with the boss fight. Yeah, that's good stuff. What does Holland say?
Holland says, what game that never ended up coming out were you most excited for? Either canceled or wallowed in development hell?
The Arcane Ravenholm game.
Ooh, I didn't, I guess I forgot that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Currently, I'm pretty bummed out that Rocksmith Plus hasn't come out. That was supposed to launch late last fall. They did a beta, and then I don't know if it's shelved or what, but it's just not there. And for some reason, Rocksmith 2014 no longer runs on my computer anymore. So,
Chase asks, me and my friends want to get into D&D, but all of us have zero experience. Any suggestions for how to get into it? I would recommend watching Matt Colville's Running the Game videos, whoever your dungeon master is going to be, as a nice starting point.
Yeah.
So,
I've never seen those videos.
Those are good DM advice game videos.
Yeah. Being that the last time I played D&D was when we did that session out at your groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one-off thing that we recorded. But last time I was really active doing it was 20 years ago. So I would say read source books and then never actually play. And your advice sounds better.
Yeah, travel back in time.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch those videos and then just get together and do it.
Yep.
Your own group is going to determine what kind of group you're going to play as. Don't feel like you have to emulate, a Critical Role or what have you, or how other people play D&D.
Yeah.
Like it's about you and your friends having fun and whatever all your friends together think is the most fun.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the medium, the collaborative storytelling, tabletop rules kind of stuff, is that you have control over it. Yeah. Nathan writes, spring cleaning. Do you do it?
Weirdly aggressive.
English. Do you speak it?
Do you speak it? Do you lift? I do not do specific spring cleaning. I get rid of stuff before I move. Mm-hmm. I move all the time. But I don't do like a specific deep clean in the spring.
Yeah. I'm kind of always in the process of moving stuff around, of, going through closets, organizing things. If anything happens during spring, it's because I'm opening up my windows, the blinds, things like that. And let's say light and air are getting into places where they hadn't been before. And that inspires like, oh, I didn't notice that this was fucking filthy. Let me, get that. But it's not like a huge event. It's just more that natural conditions reveal things to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh. John says, what fictional restaurant would you all love to visit? I always wanted to try the $1 Million Birthday Fries at Uncle Moe's Family Feed Bag.
The thing about the $1 Million Birthday Fries...
They do just look like fries with firework parts in them.
Yeah, and you have to eat them off of a very unpleasant man's head.
Sweaty head.
The oil is burning him. This is kind of cheating, but we're going to be recording about an episode of the Venture Brothers tonight, where part of it takes place at a novelty ninja themed restaurant. And I think it'd be real cool to go there for irony purposes.
That's real.
That is based on real. That's why it's kind
fictional.
of a cheat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. This isn't a restaurant, but I would like to go to Callahan's Across Time Saloon.
God damn it. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say if bars count, then yeah.
Yeah. They probably serve like chips.
Yeah, they do. They've got the free lunch. Yeah.
Yeah. There'll be a restaurant quality. Like somebody will come back from time with chocolate that they made. There's snacks. They serve food.
Come back from time. I am from history.
We are all existing in history.
Oh gosh. Yuli writes, okay, so fuck, marry, kill, but your options are Patches, Rune Bear, and Dung Eater.
I kill Dung Eater.
Okay.
The Dung Eater revival, the weird, like, kind of ironic Dung Eater was right stuff that I keep seeing. I cannot abide it.
I mean, it is pretty awful what he does.
Yeah, he seems bad. I'm going to I think I'm gonna marry Rune Bear.
Okay.
Big cuddler.
All right.
And presumably would treat me better than does in Elden Ring because we'd be married. And then I guess that's fuck Patches.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a filthy little cleric, aren't you? You're a cleric, aren't you?
He hates clerics.
No, that's why it'd be hot to him.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like the equivalent of it's equivalent of calling him like a cum receptacle or something.
Yeah. I don't a cum receptacle. Wow. I don't think that you should say that.
I'm a cum receptacle.
So I'm gonna have to go. Here's the thing: I'm not gonna fuck a bear. And
la da da. Okay.
I'm not sure what the expectations are as far as consummation if you marry the Rune Bear. Obviously, I think the Rune Bear might be the most let's say the least repugnant of all of these. Plus, shit's gold, so you can probably get some value out of that. But you got to kill the Rune Bear. Okay, he's gonna ruin your house and wreck up your stuff. All right,
gonna ruin your house.
Yeah. I would fuck the Dung Eater. Okay, as long as he doesn't do it to me, because I don't want the seedbed curse.
You'd be giving him your seedbed curse.
Oh yeah. I have no idea what that means.
Curse.
Yeah, just breadcrumb. I don't know. Yeah, I just it's you have to remember he's not his armor, right? So he is not as he's not as outwardly. Okay, is he? I haven't seen him under the armor.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say that. They made an ugly NPC.
Yes. Okay.
So he's not grody like monstrous. He's just not attractive.
I think that it would be like a real combative kind of situation, but marry Patches. At the very least, Patches is in it for the long haul.
Yeah. I don't want to move around that much.
Different universes. Yeah.
But I am enjoying the idea of a newspaper comic that's like you married to Patches. That's like the Longhorns.
Oh, Andy Cap.
Great. Give a table says, do you love lamp? Love lamp.
Yeah, I recently got a nice little lamp for my office here. It's a floor lamp, but it kind of has like a top, like a work lamp kind of thing, so you can move it. I've got one of those smart bulbs in it, so I can turn it blue and stuff like that. It's neat.
Seems smart to me.
It's neat. I like those smart lights. And then nice. Finally here, Tom writes, newlywed game, WAF edition. Cole, if Gary could only pick one video game let's see here. Cole, if Gary could only pick one video game to play for the rest of his life, what would it be? Gary, if Cole could only pick one video game to play for the rest of his life, what would it be?
My guess for you is going to be, I mean, I can narrow it down to a class.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Stardew, but also like Prison Architect would also be one of them.
Yeah, things, either of those probably. I think I would lean more toward the Prison Architect side of things. Of those management kind of deals. For you, it'd be a little tough.
Can I give you a hint?
Not Isaac?
It rhymes with Boards of the Solid.
Lords of the Fall. Oh yeah, that is your favorite game ever. Yeah,
just joking. Yeah.
Okay. I walked into this episode thinking I was going to say Isaac for this, just because I know you have thousands of hours on it. But no clue, because you said earlier that you don't really play it that much anymore. So maybe you're kind of
thousands of hours was my limit.
Yeah, I guess for the rest of your life, huh?
The rest of your life. I hope this doesn't happen. I hope that
Yeah, that sounds like
This doesn't happen to us.
Yeah, this sounds like a terrible curse. Here's what I would say. I would give you something like Neverwinter Nights or something that has an engine, like a creation kind of thing, so you could go and get user created stuff.
Yeah,
Thus getting around it.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. I mean that's probably, if it has to literally be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's like that or Mario Maker or Mario Paint or something.
Yeah.
It'd have to be something with a creation.
Mm-hmm.
Create a park.
Effectively endless, but you know, it can either be built to be endless or made effectively endless because of user content.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's the rest of your life, long time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless this is just like, I'm going to die in like a couple of months and then like Elden Ring, I don't know. I'll finish my second character and get partway through my third. Like, that'll be it.
Oh man. Yeah, so let's get into and do our responses. Remember, we don't have a topic. We're going to be spending extra time on the Chuck E. Cheese responses because we have a bunch of those.
Yeah, and that sounded fun because Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Randall writes in about the Shrouded Isle. Hey guys, I had a fun time listening to the episode I sponsored. No hard feelings about your dislike of the game. I was into it very intensely for a week, but came to the same conclusions more or less. Nice flavor, no nutrients. To be fair though, I gave you all a choice, and you did choose this over Sunless Seas. You could have had a bad bitch shaking my damn head. Love Sunless Seas. It's too long.
Yeah.
And it would just be like have wanted to find a way to cover that for a while because those games are cool. Sunless Skies as well. But it's like we would just kind of play it for a time and then share our stories, I think.
Yeah.
Would be the best way. And so that's not saying we couldn't do it, but Shrouded Isle just seemed manageable and fit into the schedule.
Yes.
Better.
And similar to you, I had spent an amount of time with it and enjoyed it and thought there was more and was disappointed to find that there was not. So I think that I was like, oh yeah, Shredded Isle, that's cool. And I specifically remember the conversation about Sunless Seas coming in. It's like, oh, I hear Sunless Skies solves that problem, and it would feel weird to go back and say, we see your Sunless Seas, and say, can we do Sunless Skies instead? That would have felt weird when somebody had paid money. So
yeah, eventually I think we will do Sunless Skies or Sunless Seas or Fallen London. Like we'll do something in that universe because I think that we're both fans of that.
Yeah.
It's just about finding a way to make it fit. There's also, we were choosing games for Elden Ring.
Yes.
Rush.
Yep.
So Shrouded Isle, the lightweight spring that we have going on here intermittently is Bonfire Side Chat related and will not last forever.
No, it won't. Yeah. Andrew writes, as someone who got what I think is the best Shrouded Isle ending on my second run, let me confidently say neither of you are gamer cucks for not beating it. Maybe spreadsheet management cucks. I think Is It a Game discourse is pointless, but boy, does this game invite it. It feels like Sudoku, except writing a 6 makes the other numbers threaten to kill you. It's like Battleship if correct guesses were marked as misses at a quarter of the time, and you had to manage a Navy morale meter. It's like a lemonade stand browser game where buy sugar has been replaced with whip non-believers. An aesthetic choice so mind-blowing it led to widespread critical praise for what is essentially accounting software. Just kidding. Accounting software has more features and a deeper narrative. Seriously, my jaw dropped when I heard you say the developers were disappointed that players didn't connect to the characters or story. I'm pretty sure Blackjack has a better story and a better RNG. Whoa.
Yeah, we're getting there. And this is after Andrew started by saying that you're a spreadsheet management cuck. I'm kind of surprised you just let that go too, man.
No, I think
one thing I know about you.
I think that he says that we weren't spreadsheet management enough, I guess.
You were either gamer cucks, you're not gamer cucks for not beating it, maybe spreadsheet management cucks.
Yeah, like if your spreadsheet chops were better, then
that's what I'm saying. How are you letting them get away with that?
I don't know. I think I'm too dumb.
Spreadsheet management chops are like one of your pillars of identity.
I think that I am too dumb to understand the shape and quality of Andrew's shade.
Yeah, we're just getting it for all angles.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's really going for the throat here.
Yeah. Like letting it go.
They
Firing
continue.
off.
No offense to the people who made it. They've done other cool stuff, and making anything is impressive, but I don't understand the critical response unless reviewers played it for a half an hour and just assumed there must be more. Well, there isn't. To riff on one of my favorite I think you should leave sketches, explain to me why it's interesting. Because it's complex? You thought it was interesting? I thought it was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought it was
I
difficult.
said it was interesting. Yeah, I didn't like that game.
Yeah.
No bad game. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I'll be good.
We can do bad games. It's fine.
Yeah, plenty of them can. Moving on to Chuck E. Cheese responses, which are the bulk of this, because a lot of people have Charles Entertainment Cheese memories. Sam says, I don't have any personal experience. I didn't set that up for myself to be like, oh, all these people have experience, but I'm sure Sam's going somewhere with this.
Yes.
I don't have any personal experience with Chuck E. Cheese, just old school Pizza Hut and the semi-local robotless family fun center. However, as somebody who was really into weird shit on YouTube from its beginning, I have fond memories of Chuck E. Cheese and the Galaxy 5000, a 1999 straight-to-video movie about not using steroids. The whole thing is on YouTube and has a TV tropes page. If you don't want to sit through an hour-long video, just look up Zoom gas and you'll get the most important 5 minutes. I do want to sit through an hour-long video.
Kinda.
Yeah.
About not
If
using-
Zoom gas is about,
I remember in my elementary school. So let's say from grades 1 to 4, I think it was, there were like laminated notices taped to the bathroom wall, at least in the boys' bathroom, that talked about the dangers of doing anabolic steroids. First
You guys were
to
juicing in
fourth
the
graders. Yeah, I think maybe it was a problem.
yeah. I hope fourth graders don't start juicing, because if they juice, like they're already rough stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Can't handle them.
No. Thoughts about Pizza Hut, memories about the early 90s Pizza Hut experience came to mind as we were talking about the pizza restaurant aspect of Chuck E. Cheese and stuff. That was a magical thing for me. I really enjoyed all of the trappings of that, just how incredibly dark it was. The stained glass lamps over each of the tables.
Pitcher of watered down Pepsi.
Yeah, the
And
watered down
beautiful
Pepsi.
red pictures.
Yes. Oh, the red plastic tumblers with that kind of rock texture to them. The jukebox next to the jukebox next to the cigarette machine next to the Miss Pac-Man machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. The afterburner cabinet that they kept in the like cordoned off pickup area, like the other counter over there that you could play while you waited. Yeah.
The one when I was growing up had Super Mario Brothers 1 arcade and Goonies 1.
Ooh.
As a cocktail cabinet.
Oh, God, I love a cocktail cabinet.
Dude. They sell them. It's something I want that would really stupid down in my tiny apartment.
Yeah. Man, just a cocktail meme cabinet. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I did not know that they did a steroids PSA Galaxy 5000, which I imagine is some kind of race.
Very strange.
Vivian says, it was the morning of my 8th birthday. I'd requested a party at Chuck E. Cheese, and a lot of my class was showing up, at least 12 people or so. As we were driving there, my mom crests a hill, and bam, head-on collision. Thankfully, nobody was injured, though the cars were totaled. I ended up being over an hour late to my own birthday, though honestly I can't remember how we got there. And it really put a dourness over the whole event. I'm very happy you were okay. Head-on collisions are fucking awful, especially over hills.
Yeah, it seems like that. Like I don't know, maybe some kind of glass hill. I don't know how you don't have that happen, but
usually, if it's especially dangerous, they'll put mirrors at the top of hills so you can see if stuff's coming.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is a bummer. I'm glad that you're okay as well.
Yeah.
Dave says, I think I found tokens in the bottom of the ball pit one time and was forever convinced that the employees littered coins there for the kids to find once they tapped out. Given it any sort of critical thought, I'm pretty sure they just sometimes fell out of kids' pockets. Very Bowser Revolution in keeping the hope of more games alive once I'd burned through my tokens. Might as well have just scrounged around under tables and in the cheese holes. Great episode. You guys are great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what a cheese. Are you talking about other kids' mouths?
I imagine there's probably some like little mouse holes or something.
Maybe
a decoration in this specific Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
I hope he's not talking about other kids' mouths.
What's Bowser Revolution? Bowser Revolution? Dave.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're baffling me, Dave. Hey, Dave, you're blowing my mind.
Yeah, we're gonna do some follow up on this. We'll do a bonfireside chat season on Dave's response here.
I do like the idea of like, oh, everything here kind of has prizes or whatever. Like I can even bring my grade card and get tokens. So why would I go into this big stinky pit of balls covered in kid grease if it was not to fish for tokens? I can see why a kid would believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. They put some tickets at the bottom or something like that too.
and some snakes, of course.
Yeah,
Garter snakes. Yeah.
Yeah. What does Jack say?
Jack says, I have a lot of Chuck E. Cheese memories from my time in suburban Chicago and later suburban Akron. But I think the best time I had was consistently playing the Super Mario Brothers pinball machine. It wasn't an exceptionally good table, but somehow, whether by original design or by the Chuck E. Cheese ownership, the back legs of the table were shorter than your average pinball affair, meaning the angle of the table was extremely generous. The ball would often almost float in space. For that reason, I managed to get nearly 45 minutes out of a single token of play, multiple times a night. It really gave my confidence in pinball skills a big false boost, something that Theater of Magic, while amazing, will never be able to do. Also, I swear the sausage on the pizza was specifically breakfast sausage. Shit tasted weird.
Definitely could have been.
I mean, I can see them
sausage.
going with a sweeter sausage on that. Yeah, not doing spicy or having it taste like sage. Yeah. And also I can understand why they might cheat the angles on some of the pinball machines, especially for kids, you know?
Yeah, I can see that as well. It also, things like that, I always think that I assume they're just mistakes.
Yeah.
You know,
they
like
could have
there's
set
just
it
some
up
weird
wrong.
tilt on the floor.
Yeah. There was one of those Mario places or Mario pinball machines for sale. Chris was really enthusiastic that I get it. And I was like, it's not a really good table. Like if I was gonna get a table, I wouldn't spend that thousands of dollars on one that mediocre. It's a neat object, but
yeah, I would take it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I would have fun with it. But it's not a great table. Looks good. Beautiful.
Yeah.
See the X-Men table. Like I'd love to have that just as an X-Men thing, but it's not a great table.
No.
Shane says, I really enjoyed the Chuck E. Cheese episode and hope you continue to do more topics like this. I grew up in New Hampshire going to Fun Spot, a giant arcade with bowling, pizza, etc. We too had a game with weird fuzzy clowns that you would knock down with a ball. Cole saying that he wanted the air cannon sound as a ringtone unlocked something for me. Yes, I remember those cannons, but the sound wasn't a dull thunk. It was more of a high-pitched chook. I must hear the sound again. So I started Googling this knockdown clown game, and the results are confusing me. Apparently, there are two separate games. There's Down the Clown, which has you throwing balls at rows of fuzzy clowns. There's another game called Big Mouth, which has you shooting the aforementioned cannon into big clown's teeth to knock them over. I distinctly remember Fun Spot having a game that was a combination of these two, where you shot the ball cannon into rows of fuzzy clowns. I can only find one occurrence of this game. There's a company that created a custom cabinet called Boom Ball Knockdown. There's a link. Did Fun Spot order a custom build from this company 30 years ago when I played the game as a kid? Or did somebody else just have the same great idea to shoot clowns with a cannon?
You know, I would totally believe that I had mixed up the two of them because
there's certainly a gun that shoots fuzzy clowns.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 100%.
Because I also remember the satisfying cannon being used to shoot the teeth out of the clown too. I remember
both.
I remember both of them. Yeah.
Fucking hated clowns. There's a lot of like reasons to shoot them in the face and shoot them bodily individually, like they're children or whatever the little ones are. with a cannon
clownlets
as a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah, the clownlets.
You don't want him to bite you and turn into one of them. Please, for the love of God, don't actually kill a clown. They've got kids and stuff.
Some of them do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I've gone down similar research holes and have not been able to find a video to get the sound of the exact cabinet that I'm thinking of. But
the foomp noise that we were talking about, there are ones that make that noise for sure as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that what we're all hovering around here is that the carnival ticket game industry is perhaps not as well regulated or documented as we'd like.
Yeah, it's a little bit just running from town to town once the game is found out.
Yeah, it's a little carny DNA, and there are a lot of bespoke there are a lot of companies making them and stuff.
Yeah, well, vendors working off of similar plans and such.
Yeah. Yep.
Andy K250 writes, growing up, I never got to go to either Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza. Luckily, we were able to take our daughter to our local one a few times before the pandemic hit. On one of our visits in late 2019, she and I were milling about outside the Chuck E. Cheese storefront in the strip mall before going inside. My daughter noticed 2 tarnished coins set on one of the brick windowsills outside the entertainment center. When she gave them to me to look at, I saw that they were actually old tokens, not for Chuck E. Cheese, but for Showbiz Pizza. Sure enough, our location was actually a Showbiz pizza prior to being rebranded in the late 80s and early 90s. I believe you mean Concept Unified. The only logical answer that I could come up with for why such old tokens would still be there was that the upper facade of the strip mall had just been remodeled a short time prior to our visit. The Showbiz tokens were probably either found by workers and placed on the sill, or maybe fell out during the remodeling and just happened to land there. Anyway, it was really neat for my kiddo to find relics that would have been from my childhood, nearly untouched for 30 years, in the same place where they were used. Also, in the previous dispatch, Gary wished that there was a theme song for the cereal Cinnamon Toast Crunch. There's not really a theme, but whenever I think of the name of that cereal, I always think of it being said or sung to the musical sting near the very end of this commercial. Thanks for giving me an audio task, Bob. Or Andy.
It takes me, and me, to make cinnamon toast crunch.
You know what tastes really good? Fucking Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah. It's very good. You ever, you know what's kind of disappointing though? Every once in a while, like I don't eat ice cream really anymore because my body doesn't handle anything. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, I crave it and I'll go to a Plaid Pantry and get some ice cream.
Of course.
And they have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch ice cream.
That can only be disappointing. That can only be disappointing.
It's pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it'd be great.
And like us, I mean, I've only had cinnamon ice cream a couple of times in my life. Like they sell it at Grater's in southern and central Ohio. Certain times of the year, and it's really good. So I always keep my eye out like, oh, is there a cinnamon ice cream? I could see looking at that and thinking, oh, there will be cinnamon in this. Specifically, how is it disappointing?
It's low quality ice cream.
Oh, of course.
So the actual just, the vanilla ice cream that is the base does not have good flavor. Then it is a little bit too much cinnamon and not enough crunch bits.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I'm a real solids in my ice cream kind of dude.
Okay.
That's me.
Yeah.
Graham says, I think it's pronounced Graham. The spelling, A-E. Great episode. I really enjoyed hearing about the animatronic pizza arcade phenomenon, even though I've never been to a Chuck E. Cheese myself. I grew up with a local serial numbers filed off equivalent Woody Woodchucks. Here's a link to an old commercial. If you're in the mood. I work as a sculptor for a company that makes mascot costumes. Whoa. And I am flummoxed by the designs of the Chuck E. Cheese characters of the 80s. If I tried to ship a character like Uncle Clunk, I would be fired on the spot. Have taste changed so much that this was acceptable in the 1980s? This episode has given me a greater appreciation for Peter Jackson's Meet the Feebles. I always assumed it was just a Muppet Show parody, but now I think there's more than a little Chuck E. Cheese DNA in the mix.
First off, that sounds like a really cool job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Woody Woodchucks did not turn up in any of my searches. But it is we asked for people to write in about their own particular versions. I imagine maybe the mascot for that is a beaver. If I'm just if I'm guessing,
You can Google if you put it in Google. It's a cartoon beaver friend. He's pretty scary.
Oh,
Here,
let me take
his
a look.
band's pretty scary as well.
Oh no!
Here.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That
The drummer's
face.
real hard to look at.
He's got a real ain't I a little stinker face. I don't care for that one bit.
Yeah, no good.
Ugh.
Yeah. And then in terms of have taste changed that much? No.
People hated Uncle Clunk.
Nobody liked Uncle Clunk.
He was immediately received properly, which is as a demon.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you'll find those old Mickey Mouse mascots that are real scary. Like taste have definitely changed for like or those scary Easter bunnies.
Yes.
Yeah. Things like that. But Uncle Clunk is forever tainted.
Forever cursed.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Gabe writes, "Hey guys, I finished your episode of Charles Entertainment Cheese, and I just wanted to answer the question you guys had. These select episodes that you do on more broad concepts are some of my favorite WAFs. I love the hardware episode, and especially love the 2 arcade episodes. I thought the older arcade episode, where Gary is doing field reporting, was excellent, and thought that him having to yell to be heard by his recording device and having the background sound of a Saturday night at ground control added to the vibe and atmosphere of that episode. I listened to the arcade eps a couple of times each during the pandemic to help alleviate the itch of being at an arcade/PRGE. Anyways, as schedules allow, I would love to hear more of this kind of content. The nostalgia drip is always great. It'd be pretty cool if you guys covered a dying bowling alley or something."
A bowling alley is one of those places.
Yeah, it is.
You know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, affection for bowling, and some people do consider it to be a sport. So like we might get, yelled at for not getting it.
Yeah.
But like we could do other topic things as they occur to us.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why not.
I proposed one I think a couple weeks ago, the Pac-Man one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wasn't thinking about that one because it's so close to, like, it's a topic, but it's also a game.
Yeah.
But that is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably do that as well.
Yeah. No, but just those are fun, and the response has been good.
Yeah. Thanks, Gabe. Appreciate you. Will says, one of my earliest memories was my first visit to our local Chuck E. Cheese. It was a birthday party for a family friend, and I was the tag-along that had to be looked after as the older kids did birthday activities. I was absolutely enraptured by this loud, larger-than-life robotic stage performance. I was a curious little kid, and I compulsively had to touch everything I came across, much to the chagrin of my parents. I was so captivated by the larger-than-life show that I had to get up on stage with Mr. Cheese. Left unattended, I began to climb up the stage towards the gyrating Chuck, and just as I was about to touch his foot, my dad whisked me away and said, "If you get hit by Chuck, they will turn you into a robot."
Oh no. Oh fuck.
I love, without any further questioning, I immediately felt terror and respect for these esoteric beings with the capability of removing my own autonomy. I didn't know how they would turn me into a robot, and I wasn't going to question it. I didn't touch many things I came across after that, and to this day, animatronics have an exciting yet terrifying place in my heart. Thanks, Dad.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's great.
That's drama.
I love like a reverse King Midas. Like, turns into everything he touches. Like, man.
They will
That's
turn
great.
you. Who's they?
It's the robots. It would be Chuck E. Cheese.
I mean,
That's how they get new band members.
That's also basically the plot of oh gosh, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights. It is five. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they want to put you in the suits because they think you're a rogue core. Yeah,
Yeah, you're an exoskeleton. Yeah.
Oh.
Just wonderful.
Yeah, done. Ugh,
Yeah.
that would give me the willies. I would not do not care for that. Michael says, "Hi, Gary and Cole. Growing up, you might have had what we'll call an also..." Sorry, I'll retake that. Michael says, "Hi, Gary and Cole. Growing up, you might have had what we will call an also there friend in your group, the person that was cool to have around when the gang is together, but not someone you'd want to hang out with one-on-one. My also there friend invited us to his birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. We were all high school sophomores. Oh God. Only me and one other friend showed up. Poor guy. My friend and I thought for sure it'd be too weird. Not only because we felt too old for this, but also because our also their friend was so genuine in his excitement. The staff treated us all with exhausted obligation, like they were already so tired of saying certain lines for children, and now they had to say the same quips for people who knew the game. A real Walter White work in the car wash vibe. But we were pleasantly surprised. Turns out, an afternoon of playing Arctic Thunder and Time Crisis 2 with passable pizza to eat is still a lot of fun. I even got to check out the animatronics show. They were in the very back of the building behind a purple curtain. You could sort of hear them when you approached. They were all there, tucked behind a balcony, or their frame in the stage, murmuring to each other in that empty, unlit room. That turned grim. Yes. That turned menacing.
That's great. That sounds, kudos to your also there friend for being like, this is going to whip and then being right.
Yeah. So like the idea of the Chuck E. Cheese birthday when you are a sophomore is like being the birthday boy at a Chuck E. Cheese party in your teens is weird. Like if you're sitting in the place where the robots will speak to you and the staff has to treat you like you're the king, that doesn't seem cool. Having like a birthday get together where like, hey, we're gonna do Chuck E. Cheese stuff where the event isn't all about this birthday that's happening, that seems good to me.
In a general sense, at a certain age you stop being a birthday boy.
Yeah.
You just become a person who has a birthday, but you're no longer the birthday boy.
Right.
It's kind of a bummer. Maybe this year, if the pandemic is still kind of relaxed and I, for the third year of my birthday in a row, maybe I'll be treat myself to being a birthday boy.
Everybody has to listen to what I say. I'm the birthday boy.
Yeah, the birthday boy. Like I'm just going to be a petty little tyrant, like a pathetic little Lord Fauntleroy who like ruins everything with my lolly and my sailor suit.
Oh God, just carrying around an all day lolly.
Yeah, like make an adult lolly that contains all the nutrients that I need for a day. Like, I think we get an adult Soylent lolly for Silicon Bros to they're like, we wear the same sailor suit every day. And we do one lolly a day that has all the nutrients you need.
Yeah. I don't take care of my hair. I just shave my head and then wear this the curly blonde wig under a sailor hat.
It's just simpler. And the time that you're thinking about combing your hair is time you're not grinding. Like grind lolly mindset.
Grind lolly. I need to get my grind lolly.
Hey, hold up, guys.
It's got a whole day's worth of microdoses in
it. Dude, we could become this would make us rich.
The grind lolly?
If we made an all day like Soylent lolly for San Francisco Tech Pro guys.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
It's a great idea.
I'm just picturing it starts on the outside with breakfast flavors and it works to the inside. It's just booze on the inside.
Until the end, it's like a Long Island iced tea that got spilled in an ashtray.
Yep.
Like a horrible club. Yeah. Lolly mindset. Justin says, hey guys, I've been a listener for a little while. I had the WAF app to listen to Abject Suffering when it first came out and suggested Deadly Tolerers and Where's Waldo for the NES. I'm excited to listen to this episode. I have a rather unique experience with the animatronics from there. Little backstory. I live in Alaska, and at our state fair, there was an independent haunted house attraction called the Dungeon of Doom. I went to elementary school with one of the children of the owner of the haunted house. He was also a pyrotechnician and got to work on several fireworks shows over the years, but that's another story. Being close friends gave me the opportunity to work for them at the fair. I ended up working in the haunted house and scaring people and got to build and create several of the scare effects. In 1998 or 1999-ish, he bought some of the old Chuck E. Cheese animatronics for use in the haunted house and other projects. He tasked me, a 16-year-old, to rebuild and learn how to program the PLC, programmable logic controller, to make the dudes do stuff. The one that got the farthest on and was in the best shape was a cat of some sort, maybe a tiger or a lion, and I was able to get him refurbished up by replacing the pneumatic tubes and pistons. The PLC that came with it was a suitcase-sized box that would connect all the tubes and would go through the actions, etc. We ended up using a mini disc player and separate right and left tracks to put the audio that would come out of the speaker and have the cues for the animatronics, kind of like how a Teddy Ruxpin works.
Love it.
We ended up using it for the haunted house for a while, but ultimately it got repurposed to be outside another attraction called the Mirror Maze. And we'd use it to bark, aka talk to people to get them to come inside, using the same mini disc system and some motion sensors. That was really my first dive into PLC programming and automation. Now I am a refrigeration technician who also maintains the automation on a canning line for a local brewery. It's kind of funny that Chuck E. Cheese and his band of goons got me started down this career path that I'm on. As a bonus, if you want, I can record some of the Dungeon of Doom barks I used to do when I was on the mic in my spooky voice. We never used any effects on the PA, just some compression, so all the creepiness came from within. Thanks again for giving me a decade of entertainment. Cheers.
If you got those laying around, go ahead and send them.
I would like to go to the Dungeon of Doom.
I fucking love everything about this.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very good.
Yeah, this owns. These are good stories. Man, like, what great opportunities you had just by knowing these awesome people in Alaska working on their like haunted house stuff. Man, all this rules. Yeah.
It's like somebody made a dad in the Weird Science machine. Like, you know how in Weird Science, like the thing is to get advice from like a guidance counselor with gigantic boobs.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you remember that movie, they don't have sex with the golem they make.
Nope.
She just gives them dating advice. This is like somebody did that to make a dad.
Yeah.
And they just like the little thing that they use to grow the boobs in Weird Science, they're just like turning up the coolness factor until it gets to fireworks technician.
Yeah. This rules.
Very good.
And that's a great hack using the mini disc player. And you know, those machines are complicated. Like, saw it in the documentary. Kudos on figuring out how to like gut them and replace them and stuff. And yeah.
Very nice.
My hat is off to you.
Well done.
Tom the Optimist says, "Hi, I wanted to provide a little bit of context to the pre-Chuck E. Cheese entertainment pizza shows. So I'm from Florida, and in my area there was a place, now defunct, called Roaring Twenties Pizza. It was a place where you could eat expensive pizza while listening to a Wurlitzer organ show. The thing is, a Wurlitzer show was not the musical recital like you would expect. The entire building, deceptively enough, was the instrument. The pipes went through the walls, and the many terraced keyboards were wired to dozens of different devices and tools, all crowding shelves throughout the concert hall. When the show started, the organ player and his keyboard orchestra would rise out of the floor while playing. According to my dad, who has experience playing the organ, the setup actually was this. The organ was not just a traditional press a note, have a sound come out setup. Many of the 3 or 4 levels of keyboards sitting around them were actually command structures. Then his normal keys were also on a time delay. As such, he could perform songs and add in drum solos, sound effects, and basically anything else connected. As a result, it went from organ player from that one I Think You Should Leave skit with a funny sound effect to organ player with a stomp-esque performance with improvised instruments, all planned out by a half-programmer, half-one-man band. He also would play any request that wasn't owned by Disney. The way I figured it, a place like Roaring Twenties had a lot of the infrastructure built in for a rocket fire explosion. All someone would need to do is plug in their own hardware. It makes sense that the next step up from a live programming would be a pre-planned performance. Thanks for the details.
Sounds awesome.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to go to that. That looks badass.
Yeah.
Or sounds badass. And yeah, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. I was expecting a dude playing an organ.
Same. I didn't expect it to be an electromechanical marvel, but here we are.
Yeah. It's incredible. Jindosh Mansion shit. Craig says, I don't have any real memories of going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, but I do remember a Chuck E. Cheese like called Major Magic, not too far from where I grew up in Southeast Michigan. It probably had a big play structure, and it definitely had an animatronic nightmare band. But what I remember the most was its expensive floor of arcade cabinets, or extensive floor. Expansive actually is the word. I almost got there. Going to Major Magic was my first exposure to a lot of classic arcade games, even if some of them were pretty outdated by the time I got there in the early and mid 90s. Miss Pac-Man and Centipede are two that I definitely saw for the first time there. It's been closed for at least 20 years, but shout out to any other listeners who went to Major Magic in Ypsilanti, Michigan in the 1990s. Having recently become a father, I'm excited to see what horrible innovations in this industry I'll be exposed to when my kid is old enough to be interested.
Yeah, there's probably going to be some real like Pavlov, just to go and get the kid's head cut in half so you can measure their saliva output kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The adrenochrome ball pit.
Yeah. Yeah, if this place was in Ypsilanti, there's probably a good chance that I like screamed to go there. Not screamed, yelled, bugged my parents to go there while we were driving past to go up to Central Michigan.
Little,
that was a
baby fit.
I mean, that's what that's why I'm on. I've always been on the grind lolly mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me lolly or give me death.
Oh man. But yes, being exposed to all these old arcade games, this would have been one of the places you could do it. And also, I'm picturing Major Magic as some kind of general who has a little like magic wand and a wizard hat.
If we're lucky.
Nervous says, I never really went to Chuck E. Cheese. My parents' stance was, we'll take you to the arcade or to Discovery Zone, but we won't pay for shitty pizza. However, I'll never forget the big Chuck E. Cheese next door to my Taekwondo lessons, and the little parade of fat kids, freshly changed out of their dobok, rushing with their parents for their pizza treat. It's a memory that makes me smile every time. Like Gary, I used to love jumping in the ball pit at any opportunity. No heed paid to the filth. That all changed one day at a McDonald's play place when I saw a 3-year-old in the pit licking all the balls, leaving wet saliva marks on everything in his vicinity. I don't think I ever went into another ball pit after seeing that. Nowadays, the gym I go to has a massive two-floor child habit trail that takes up at least half of the building. I often glance through the window on my way to the locker room, wistfully imagining a world in which they'd let me in there for a good clamber. And then there are nice things there. Nervous says nice things. I think that there is a market for an adult's play place, and I will not be dissuaded from this. I also think that adults should have cat trees.
Cat treats?
Cat trees.
You can make that happen. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm back on board. It really sounded like you. And I also think adults should have cat treats. Adult can eat anything they want, man.
Yeah. Well, I think my doctor would have something to say about that, but
what's he gonna do?
He's not gonna stop me. He's not gonna smack the cat treat out of my hand. I've never
keep seeing cat treats.
I've never been tempted to put a to put a cat treat in my mouth. It was gross.
Sure. We believe you.
Okay.
That is real gross about licking the balls in the ball pit.
No, thank you.
It's nasty.
Nasty
for both of them. Fenreliania says, I didn't realize Mr. Cheese made it all the way to my continent down under, but aside from that, I don't know of any animatronic infested pizza arcades around these parts. Most of those vibes come from bowling alleys with their arcade sections. I do have two related memories, though. First, back in the 1990s, Penrith Pizza, Penrith Plaza means mall, had a wing with food and groceries, and to complement this theme, they had a huge fiberglass vegetable set up on the wall that would wobble back and forth and sing a song anytime a kid presses a very pressable button nearby. This attraction disappeared in subsequent remodels, possibly for the sanity of the employees, or possibly because it trained kids to push strange buttons on walls for surprise treats, like singing carrots and fire alarms. The second memory was a very 2000s variation on the entertainment restaurant, a place called Zertz.
Or Exerts. Exerts?
Exerts.
Yeah.
The premise was that aliens set up this restaurant with all their Jetsons-esque retrofuturistic furniture. Upon entry, you were put in an elevator with a big screen on one wall that implied you were being sent to space in an alien ship to get to this restaurant. To add to the atmosphere, the restaurant had no windows. You would order from a touchscreen, brand new technology at the time, that displayed what I can only describe as the Space Jam website. You could also play games and watch movies, which seemed like an invitation to spend way too long in this restaurant. I only got to go twice, once to the original location and once to the place they relocated when it was clear they weren't making the big bucks required for a waterfront Sydney Harbor location. By their second location, they gave up on the space charade and had kept the windows open, but I think ultimately they just served expensive, mediocre food shortly before the iPhone came to smother them in their sleep. Got rid of the space theme.
That's all you got, buds?
Yeah. It's the restaurant from I Think You Should Leave again.
Yeah.
The space bar that they go to. I want to go to that. I don't care how mediocre it is. I want to go to Zertz.
Just like I want to go to the Ninja restaurant. Come on, bud.
Yeah. More themed restaurants. Our restaurant is themed under high quality cuisine.
Yeah,
fuck
you.
off. Yeah. No.
Yeah. I want to send you on a rocket to the Michelin stars, bud. I don't fucking care.
I don't care. Give me cafeteria trash if you're gonna have a robot give it to me. I'm baby, give lolly.
Oh my gosh. And also, yes, I had just a tremendous sympathy for any employees who had to listen to the wall vegetable death dirge.
The vegetable chorus, yeah.
But thank you for the stories from down under. Again, stuff we specifically asked for and you delivered. Let's hear. Doug says, I finally remember going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, and it was interesting to revisit it as an adult for my own children. One thing that really stuck out was the Chuck E. Cheese of my youth. It was very dark inside. This was true of my local arcade, Tilt. To prove my 80s bona fides, the arcade was inside a shopping mall adjacent to an Orange Julius. High five, Doug. There was something incredibly cool about the aesthetic of the inky black interior paired with the neon cabinets of Joust and Tron. My local Chuck E. Cheese in recent years was the opposite, brightly lit and maximum visibility. As a parent, I really appreciated the ability to keep an eye on my kids, as well as the unique UV visible number stamp they put on each family member to ensure kids did not leave with someone unauthorized. I presume that these measures were taken in response to awful things that happened in the dark Chuck E. Cheeses of decades past. But Gary, Cole, the dank. P.S. The modern gluten-free options were actually very welcome because my wife has celiac, and amazingly, that food was actually decent and safely prepared. Oh, cool.
Huh. Nice.
So everything that you're describing as like something that people could possibly say like, oh yeah, they've taken the soul away from this, man. They're actually responding to children being stolen and people getting sick.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah, the very soul of Chuck E. Cheese. Like you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically. So I do miss dank.
Yes.
In places. For sure. Like I don't want kids to get napped, but also like as an adult, I prefer everything to be dark.
Yeah.
In a general sense, I don't really want to like see stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it happened with comic stores too. Comic stores used to be these like wretched little pits and now they're real friendly. So kind of a bummer. But that's, it's good.
Yeah. It's all for the better for things like safety and making sure people don't get terrible illnesses.
Yeah. Make sure people feel okay.
Yeah.
Ryan says, Chuck E. Cheese was a thing that came into my life quite a few times. My earliest cheese memory was the mouse holes that made a maze of This might have been those cheese holes from earlier.
Maybe.
I was 3 or 4 and was obsessed with mazes, and it was the closest I got into being in one. But once you got in, I was just crying lost children. Super uncomfortable. I was lucky enough to have an arcade in my small 15,000 people Connecticut town that actually opened during the bust years, like 1987 or 1988. It was popular for about a year and had animatronics for birthday parties, not sure which variety. But the weird thing was that the place was a ghost town by the 90s, but stayed operational until the early 2000s at least. Some Italian guys owned it and operated it. There were dumb jokes about mafia ties, and truth be told, there would be old guys in tracksuits handing out free tokens during the salad days. The kicker was when I was in high school, some friends and I were out being teenagers at 3 a.m. and saw a Mack truck park there and unload a ton of DVD player boxes. Weird. This is probably getting too long, but I went to Chuck E. Cheese again when I was probably 11 or 12 years old and saw the ugliest toddler ever. And everyone is being mean to him. And he invited disgust. What's happening? So weird. But later I read a Spider-Man storyline about vermin, and the toddler sort of fit the bill. Stick it to him. Finally, my dad, rest in peace, was a manager of a Chuck E. Cheese a few towns over, which in Connecticut is far away. For my 17th birthday, we drove out to some weird video rental store because we heard they had a Razorhead, and then realized I was near where my dad worked, so we stopped by. He showed us all the cheat codes, driving as a giant dog nose in some Italian rally car game, how to get big head mode in a jet ski game. My dad was pretty cool that night, and since it was November, midweek, and it was snowing, the place was pretty empty, so I got free play, and me and a couple of friends even braved the ball pit.
Well, I hope you didn't get flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad wasn't part of your dad's plan. That's awesome. Like, your dad works in an arcade and you go as a teen, and your dad gets to do the flex of like, hey, want to play some free games, kids? That's great.
Oh man.
Wow. Take that, toddler.
You're a Spider-Man villain, toddler.
Yeah, you verminous little shit that everyone you invite criticism or whatever.
You invite disgust. So I hope everybody enjoyed those responses as much as I did. Good hearing about all these things, especially with the toddlers that invite disgust. Wow.
Incredible.
Get them. We're going to move on to Deathloop responses, and then get out of here. But we're going to start with Stuart, who says, I've played the hell out of all the Arcane games, especially Dishonored and Prey. I think they all have a point where familiarity creates elegance, where I know the spaces and the powers well enough that a level goes from being a cautious exploration to a versatile playground. That's something I felt much more quickly in Deathloop. It only took a couple of visits to master an area's navigation. And from then on, I started to feel the flow and grace of a speedrunner. I felt like the suave badass that Colt is.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The levels in some ways are a little bit more manageable. Like, they're very dense, but there's more outside areas.
Yes.
That you end up with in some of them. So some of them end up being very easy to grok.
Yes.
Immediately. Ryan says, I was the dude who sponsored Dark Messiah and forgot to write in, but I just wanted to mention that I had some real hype for Deathloop. And while the setting and theme were great, I feel like playing Moon Crash really spoiled the experience for me. There wasn't enough of the systems, and lack of interactivity from previous Arcane games felt blah. I think I would have eaten it up if I hadn't played Moon Crash, but the Venn diagram overlap was too strong, and I couldn't put it aside with the familiarity. I was hyped for the multiplayer since I had followed Arcane's canceled game The Crossing long ago, but ended up just feeling like Watch Dogs imitating Demon Souls. If I learned one thing, is I need to play Moon Crash.
Yeah, that's a thing that came up multiple times.
Yeah, there's really no reason why I haven't. It just did other stuff instead, but it's on the list for sure.
Matt writes, hello, Gary and Cole. I didn't hear you mention it during the episode, but did you find the meat fondue fountain in Alexis's party? I remember I didn't stumble across it for several runs through that level. From all of his pretentious announcements about his devouring of the lambs party the first few times I went through seemed pretty lame. Yeah, the people get dropped into a meat grinder, but where's the devouring? At first, I thought it was intentional to show that Alexis is all bark and no bite. So after getting lost behind the scenes of the party and stumbling across a nice chunky giblet buffet, I was really stoked. You can actually see the pipes being fed into it from the stage itself. It was a nice bit of fucked up environmental storytelling that I really appreciated. I saw the meat grinder. I was like, I'm sure that is being fed into the burgers or whatever, but I did not find the buffet table with all the giblets.
I forgot to mention it because we forget things. The two big things usually after we do a game, I'll walk away and I'll be like, forgot to mention this, and I'll have some kind of dumb anxiety about it. Yeah. The two things I forgot to mention were that, and way less exciting, the lore note that shows why Frank joined the island because he thought the time travel could reverse the damage to his vocal cords.
Oh, poor guy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not that important or anything, but he's just like, yeah, they did this like crazy tour that he talks about all the time, and it fucked up his voice. And it's like him talking to Wenji and him being like, oh, like we're going to be able to do time stuff. Like, and she's just like, no, you're just going to be you. You're frozen how you are now.
Oh,
you
man.
know? So it's another like immortality time travel perspective that's presented in the game that I just forgot to mention.
Yeah, this is not going to, it's like becoming a vampire. Like, oh, I'm going to be, a sexy monster, right? It's like, no, you're going to be like this forever. Fuck.
Yeah. I want to become a fat vampire. Again, more of a fat vampire.
Yes. Normalize.
That's why I need to turn me into a vampire while I'm still chonked out.
Oh, man.
Noah says, I love the Deathloop WAF. Thank you for a great episode. Hope I'm in time to get a comment in. Couldn't agree more with your assessment of the endings. In my playthrough, I didn't shoot Juliana in the final scene, and that to me is the best possible outcome. Live forever in a custom playground and build a meaningful relationship with your daughter? Awesome. Also, as a bisexual man, I have to stress how important it is that Colt is canonically bi. Bi men don't get a ton of representation in video games, and the most common substitute being player sexual characters in Bethesda-type games. So Colt's sexuality is a pretty big win. The only thing missing in the episode is that no one mentioned the best bit of audio performance in recent video gaming memory, the battery song. Some hero extracted the audio for that in the game's 10 dubbed languages and put it on YouTube. It's an experience.
It's because it was in the most annoying section of the game. I found the battery song very annoying.
It was memetically a little fun.
Yes,
but yeah.
And yeah, at that point I was too pissed off. I was like, this is cute. They're trying to be cute and I'm not having any of it.
Yeah. I also liked By Colt in part because this says nothing about the sexuality of bi men or anything at all. When I have in a game, because of the source and because of sexism, when a bi woman is presented, I sometimes can't shake the feeling that the idea is that it's a little like juvenile, like, what if these girls gone wild made out?
Yeah, because it's presented like that.
Yeah, like I don't trust the authorial intent behind it. But I like how Colt is presented because not that titillation is impossible with a bi man, but it's not presented for titillation. None of the language around it or the way it's communicating is like meant to be like, ooh, isn't this fucking hot?
Yeah.
And that's true for all the way that Deathloop handles sex stuff. Like it's not trying to titillate you, which anyone who's ever listened to me knows I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just presented as a fact of these characters. Cool.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Like real life.
Yeah.
Like like the people who I know who are bi are just like people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see here. John says, Deathloop was my winter blow-off Steam game. Adjusting to the what if Dishonored but with guns gameplay took a while. However, one moment really set me on my back foot. Someone in a forum recommended that I go to Carl's Bay in the afternoon and search for a specific open window. I found it, climbed through, diffused the traps, and then read the note. Tense chords played in my mind when I discovered someone else also kept their memories between loops. I returned the following day and I found a note lying on the ground near a locked door saying to come back later, which I did. I followed the steps again, and I was confronted by the lady inside. She was overjoyed to find another person like herself. She recounted the sheer terror of living the same day repeatedly with the depraved idiots on the island, and she was slowly going insane in the process. She begged me to break the loop and kill her so she wouldn't forget about me. I applaud the devs for the inclusion of this set piece. This was a sharp contrast to my experience of becoming a quippy demigod, dual-wielding shotguns to mow down hordes of armed mods in a pseudo-sexy, swinging 60s UK. This was realization of existential terror created by Eon's Black Science. This was not the fun playground of psychopathic visionaries. Well, not just the playground. Yeah.
I think I alluded to that real quick, but we didn't talk about it in game. I love that detail as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's real cool they included that and made it not mandatory.
It's it's the spoiler character in The Endless, right? Who is just sick and tired that she can't sleep. Yeah,
basically. Great little touch. A lot of, we miss stuff. That's what the great thing about Response is.
Yeah.
Give it a chance to. She's wonderful. It's similar. There's not tons of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's that, and then the guy you found, who was Colt's former partner, back in the day. But the fact they put stuff there, it reminds me a lot of in Dishonored 2, the subplot with the woman who is breeding the blood flies in her basement, and kidnapping people to harvest the gems, and how that subplot runs across a couple levels but is never underlined. You just stumble upon it. Great stuff.
Yeah, as her experiment slowly gets out of control.
Yeah, in part because you do it.
Yep.
You can do it, then you come back later, and it's like that's a real kind of dry run for Deathloop stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do anything about it and the containment breaks out when you come to that area later. I have a Dishonored series replay in me. At some point, just to spend time in the levels. Mm-hmm. Like I might even New Game Plus it or something and have all the powers. I just want
to fuck around. Yeah.
Our final response, Grefter says, can't fault any of the critiques you guys had, but the shine lasted a bit longer for me, and that's how mileage varies. Having played it since day one, Deathloop really feels like the culmination of everything Arcane has done since Dark Messiah, and that feeling has only gotten stronger since. Also, I sound like a broken record a year later when Elden Ring came out, and I keep describing it the same way. The other thing of note with Deathloop I found on replays is that it has the thing that you describe in Souls games of knowledge compressing spaces that really applies here as well. Where in the first playthrough, it absolutely applies to getting around environments and speed clearing a visionary for on a free time slot or something. On replay, it hits the entire route and really helps you hit the beats of what you need for the critical path much more cleanly. Also, being able to open invasions up to just your friends is probably the best addition to Souls invasions the game could have made. It is even more fun when it is probably going to be someone you know who's messing with you.
Yeah.
That I didn't mess around with that too much. I don't know if I have social network friends on my PS5.
Yeah.
But if I had a bunch of friends who were into this, that would be a super fun idea.
Yeah, especially close to launch. If it was more kind of in the, just more people playing it at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see what you mean, both with the apotheosisness,
apotheosity,
and with apotheositopods, and the idea of it compressing space on replays. Like someday down the road, I will probably replay Deathloop again, and we'll probably have a similar experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's everything for responses. We had tons of them this time. So thanks everybody for writing in. We appreciate you. If you have to say about Maze Game, what should they do?
If you have thoughts about Maze Games, which are going to be,
we made a change.
We did make a change. Yes. So we should do that.
Yeah. So we have, we there's no secrets or anything. We bounced off of Fear and Hunger.
Yes.
That was a patron request and something that we wanted to do. It looked cool. As we've popped into it, it's just not for us. And we go into detail about that at some point, but this has already been a long episode.
Yeah.
But just not for us, and it kind of squicked us out a few times.
Yeah.
So we're subbing that out. We're going to work that out with that person. Don't feel like if you're going to sponsor an episode, we're just going to back out. This is the first time we've done that. So we're going to do, instead of Fear and Hunger first in May, we're going to do the Beginner's Guide, Davy Redden's game, the follow-up to the Stanley Parable. That is walking sim-like, but is in the subset of games that I find really fascinating, games that contain fake games, which is something I absolutely love.
Yeah. Also, incredibly devastating. Just very emotional in a way that is not like explicitly cloying. It doesn't feel
about
like that.
Something really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Beginner's Guide, first game we're going to do there on Monday. Then the next game, second game in May is one that I'm excited to talk about, Teardown. That is Cole
really
Vanity
excited.
Pick. Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to the show. I love that game.
Yep.
I love Teardown. Like I'm going to play the second one. I don't know if we're going to talk about it because it just came out. It's coming out in parts, but this is fabulous.
Yeah.
Teardown is so fucking fun. Run, don't walk to buy Teardown if you haven't.
For real. Just an unqualified recommendation. Get it.
Yep.
And then the premium game for that month is Max Payne 3. The deadline for that, for all of those is May the 15th. Go to Duckfeed.tv/contact and click the WAF button. Write in your responses there. If you have thoughts about multiple games, then please split them up into multiple responses. That makes things easy for us.
Yeah. We're going to announce June's games, and it's also a little weird because we are working out that replacement for Fear and Hunger. So there's a question mark slot this month.
Yeah.
We may be doing something here, but we want to make sure that's okay with the patron.
Future Cole here. We figured it out. Don't worry.
The first thing, this is a Gary pick, my vanity pick for the month. Thank you, Gary. The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
Yeah. Open world
PS2.
PS2 era game where you are just hulking out. You can rip a truck in half and use both halves as boxing gloves.
You can surf on a bus. It is a very fun smash 'em up type game from the people who ended up making, I think, Infamous.
Prototype.
Their game. It's PS2 era. There are parts that are difficulty walls. It's good to play it on an emulator, which is the only real that's not on any virtual services, because you can always throw in a Game Shark in there to get past some of the more frustrating bosses, save states and stuff. But I remember having a blast with this, and sometimes you just want to smash stuff, like a Teardown or like a Hulk.
Hi there. Future Cole is here again. The second game for the month is going to be Terranigma. This is a quintet action RPG for the Super Nintendo, part of the Soul Blazer, ActRaiser kind of run of games there. That's a patron pick. It didn't really come out in America. It's one of the more kind of famous games that got a second life here in ROMs. We're excited to check it out. And then after that, the third game is going to be Out of This World / Another World, depending on where you are from, a classic platformer that Gary originally played on the SNES, but is now available on like everything. Okay, Future Cole's going away. Now we're going back to past recording. All right, this is confusing.
Yes. The Mechner, I first played it on Super Nintendo, but it's on damn near everything at this point.
Yeah.
Cinematic platformer, puzzle platformer, with that is almost entirely, if not entirely dialogue-less. One of the like cooler and most atmospheric games that came to me at a really early time.
Yeah.
For that,
I've never really played it, so I'm excited to dig in.
Oh, you're in for a treat. It's real good. As somebody who likes Myst and likes being on like in an alien location where you have to figure out how stuff works.
Nice. Yeah.
It's real good.
I'm down.
And then our premium for that, this is a patron pick from friend of the show, Jack, patron of many of our episodes. We're doing Vampire.
Yeah. This looked like a quintessential WAF game before it was coming out. This is, talky action RPG kind of deal. You're playing as a vampire in the middle of a plague outbreak in London, made by Don't Nod. It's made by the Life of Strange people. and interesting systems, not entirely successful, but I'm looking for an excuse to finish it. And what an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've wanted to talk about this since I played it for fun. It's very interesting. So, yeah, and that's June. July is JRPG month. We'll make that announcement next dispatch. Look forward to that. And yeah, we appreciate you listening. This has been a long one. So,
yeah.
If you want to support us, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. $5 a month gives you a bunch of bonus shows. Early release is going away. We mentioned that. It's going away in May. So this is the last episode to be early released. We appreciate your patience with that as we transition.
Yeah. So keep an eye. Changeover happens on May the 1st.
Yes. Yeah. What else should they do, Cole?
I believe that they should leave a rating and review. Like I said, tell your friends you've listened to podcasts, you know what they ought to do. But most of all, don't go in the cheese holes. It's just crying kids.
Leave the ball pit out of the cheese hole and keep your lolly dry.
Buy the lolly case so it doesn't get covered with dust. All day's a long time.
And invest in Lolly Grind Set, our brand new company for the business lolly for today's Silicon Valley entrepreneur.
It's a business.
Well, there are business lollies and pleasure lollies.
Lolly ho.